I've been covering sports a long time, and of all the people, you rate number one to me of guys who play pro sports and enjoy it, show the joy of doing the job you get to do. Describe the joy in your journey, because you don't hide it.
Yeah, we definitely make sure to have a good time while we're playing football. There's no doubt about it. I think about when I was a kid playing in my backyard or playing football at recess, pretending I was Deion Sanders or Troy Aikman or whoever I was watching at the time. I think back to myself then, and I'm like, I still get to play the same game, albeit the stakes are significantly higher than, kindergarten or first grade recess at Highland Park Elementary School in Austin, Texas. But you have to, in my mind, you have to play the game with that passion and with that joy, and that's something that we definitely make it a point to do, not just on game days, but out here at practice. Just look at this place. This place is amazing. This is a sanctuary of football. It's a shining beacon of what the game is supposed to be, and I got to be a small part of it, and I couldn't be more thankful or more joyous to be that small part.
As much joy as there is in it for you to have success, there is a great amount of work. Your preparation is legendary. I've seen you out at public parks in the summer going through the grind of kicking a football when nobody's watching. Does that dedication, does that pile up over 10, 11 years? Is that hard to keep up?
I don't know if it's necessarily hard to keep up, because it's just what I have to do. I feel like it's what any of us should feel like we have to do. We should feel like, each and every day that we have the opportunity to train, to prepare, to improve, we should take advantage of it. Now there obviously has to be like a balance there. You got to have some time off. For me, the physical demands of my position are, significantly different, or they're much lesser than many of my teammates. But it's like being a pitcher in baseball. Those guys can't, like an ace can't just go out there and throw every single day. He's got to, balance it out a little bit. So that all said, it's important to me, like any single time I take the field, I'm focusing on improving, even if I feel like I've done pretty well or recently I've performed well. In my mind, it's always about the next kick. So that's a big part of the reason why I know I've made it a point to, train the way that I do and focus, my attention on each and every kick being a quality rep, not necessarily just going out there and kicking balls for quantity. It's all about quality. And that's something that I didn't learn how to do on my own. That's something I learned from Sam Cook. That's something I learned from Morgan Cox, from Jerry Rosberg, especially, and Randy Brown. And then I can go back to my college and high school coaches even and point to the lessons I learned about what it means to not just be a professional, but to hone in your craft and to focus on the details that might seem monotonous at times, or they might be even boring. But one of the most boring pictures in football is a PAT, just seeing the ball split the uprights. It's just 1 point, but you never know when that 1 point is the most important one in the game. So that's the way I think about it.
10 years ago, you walked out here as an undrafted kid out of college, confident. Billy Cundiff was here. 10 years later, Justin, you have earned the title of the greatest ever to do what you do. And you don't say that, but those in this league, without hesitation, say that. And I'm noticing, and you correct me if I'm wrong, you're increasingly understanding that that's a mantle that's on you. Is that correct?
I would say, sure, yeah. I'm not completely immune to the noise, or unaware, I should say. At the end of the day, it kind of is. I don't want to say it's just noise, but if it's not going to serve me and my teammates well in a given moment, then I kind of have to, let some of those things, as positive as they can be, go in one ear and out the other. Because at the same time, I've been on the opposite side of that. Thankfully, not too many times where I've had a ball get away from me and even an important kit get away from me. And it's like just completely crushing. We pour so much of our time and our energy and our emotions into, just trying to be great and just trying to succeed, that not paying attention to those things that help us actually be successful is, it's not important. It's not relevant. It's not going to help us. So as positive as the conversation can be, it's always been important to me to kind of take it for what it's worth, take it with a grain of salt, and also recognize that I might be getting this recognition because I have great teammates, because I've consistently had great teammates. I mentioned Morgan Cox a little bit ago. He's still one of my dearest friends, but I mentioned him and Sam Cook, even Randy and Jerry, and then now Nick Moore and Jordan Stout. I'm not, and I've joked about this before, like I'm a system kicker, but I really do, in a way, I feel that way. I feel like I'm only able to have these opportunities to succeed because I've got these great people around me. So, not just our field goal kicking unit, but this whole team, this whole organization, like it would be a disservice to them if I wasn't putting, my time and energy acutely in the right place at the right time, so I could, see their literal blood, sweat, and tears rewarded with wins, with locker room celebrations. So I'll leave it at that.
In your focus, did you hear your teammates while you were answering the question about being a GOAT, as they were making goat noises and said GOAT as they were walking off?
I really didn't hear them, and I think I might have actually just been that focused. or probably one of my biggest flaws is that I like to hear myself talk too much. So I was doing too much of that. So.
Good stuff. Hey, there's success and there's the reaction to success. I want to take you back to the Sunday night against Cincinnati this season. 58-yard field goal. And if a picture says 1,000 words, maybe you could explain it in less than 1,000. But you just turn to your bench and go like this. What is that?
I think it's more than anything, it's just, hey man, I'm me, we're us. Like, look, like who would have, you've seen that Paul Rudd clip, he's like, who would have thought? Not me, just like, look at this is ridiculous. We get to play in the National Football League. Like I've had the opportunity to kick footballs for my work for the last 10 plus years, and we get to knock down a 58-yarder, knock down a game winner on Sunday Night Football. Everybody in the football world is watching, and that stuff is amazing. It's another one of the many great reasons why we play the game, is to have moments like that. So it was just a reaction more than anything, like, hey man, look at us, huh? Who'd have thought?
All right, so in those moments and your ability to handle those moments, I have these quotes, and I know you're familiar with them. This from your dad: he just is not afraid of the limelight. Your mom says he has zero inhibitions. Randy Brown: he's not afraid to fail. Where did you get that? Were you always that guy? When did you get that ability to block out everything and just be Justin Tucker?
I don't know if that's something that we're all kind of born with, or some people are more predisposed to handle, like big stage limelight moments. But it's not something that, maybe it's, I guess what I'm saying is maybe it comes naturally for some, more easily than others. And I think I might fall into that category of, like, maybe it's just a little easier for me. Maybe that's just how I'm wired. But at the exact same time, I think anybody is able to do anything that they've set their minds to. Mm-hmm. And that isn't to be cliche, that's what I believe. And I don't believe that just because I read it on a motivational poster with a cat on it or something. It's because I believe that, if we're going to get really existential here, I think every single one of us was created with greatness within us. Mm-hmm. And it's just a matter of finding it. And like, do I think football is the be all and end all of what greatness looks like? Like, absolutely not. I think there's so much more to life than kicking a ball through metal yellow poles. But at the same time, doing that puts a smile on a lot of people's faces.
Yeah.
A lot of people invest their time and their money and their emotions and their energy into watching the Ravens play football, and they get great satisfaction and great joy from watching, me kick a ball, or watching Lamar throw a touchdown pass, or or watching Calais Campbell, cut a quarterback in half. I mean, that stuff is amazing. So to be a part of somebody else's smile, to be a catalyst for someone else's joy, is one of the most rewarding parts of this job as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, I'll leave it there.
All right, another quote for you, and this comes from a former teammate. Other than Justin Tucker, most kickers do not have a place in this game. Steve Smith Sr.
That sounds about right.
Other kickers in this game, you guys are a fraternity. It is a difficult job to keep. Every night on a Sunday through, Sunday night, Monday night, Thursday night, there are missed kicks. And it automatically becomes Justin Tucker Appreciation Twitter. Thank God we got Justin. What is your reaction when you see fellow kickers struggle? Not that you haven't had a struggle or two, but when you're the most accurate in history, no one's as consistent as you. You see it, you think what as you're watching?
My heart sinks because I know the feeling all too well, and thankfully it's that feeling is more of a rare occurrence for us, but I just know the feeling all too well, and it's terrible. So anytime I see another guy miss a kick, like, my heart sinks in that moment. I just think about like what that guy's going through, because it sucks, man. But at the exact same time, we're all professionals, and this is like a highly competitive business. So you can have that moment of sorrow, if you will, or sadness, disappointment, and I'm talking about for myself when I miss a kick.
Yeah.
But you really have to be, like, to borrow a phrase from Ted Lasso, you got to be like a goldfish. You got to just move on to the next one and make the most of it. Make the most of your next opportunity. So whenever I see a guy, trot out onto the field and he's about to attempt a field goal, even if it's somebody playing in a game that we want the game to go a certain way for, standing in our division or in the conference or whatever it may be. Anytime I see a kicker go out there to attempt a kick, I am really pulling for them to make it. I also think putting that good energy out there does get rewarded. Like any of the guys that I've talked to in pregame warm-ups or after the game, a lot of us feel the same way. Yeah. And the guys that may not feel that way, I don't think they last that long. I don't think they get to stick around and kick footballs as long as they want to, because ultimately at the end of the day, we're all trying to, we're all just trying to do well for our teammates, for our coaches, for our organizations, for ourselves. So yeah, I'm always rooting for the other guys. Now, at the exact same time, if we're in the heat of the moment, we're like battling, I hope that guy makes his kick. I hope we get an opportunity to knock one down and win the game for ourselves.
Gotcha. Along Steve Smith's point, and you hear this a lot in the NFL, kickers aren't football players, with the exception of Justin Tucker, because everybody wants him on their team. All right, so my wife actually asked me this question. She said, well, Justin Tucker looks like he could do more than kick. I said, you mean punt? I'm sure he could do that. She goes, no, like he could play another position. As meticulous as you are at preparing, how long would it take you to be proficient at another position, and what would it be?
That's a great question. That's a really tricky one, because I feel like if I answer this incorrectly, I'm just going to get roasted. Everyone's going to say, he can't do that. And they would be absolutely right. Because I could not play another position in this league at this level. The athletes from the top of the roster to the bottom of the proverbial roster are all incredible. I just happen to be the guy who can swing my leg around the fastest. Like, these guys out here are big and strong and fast and quick, and their physicality shows. All you have to do is like walk into the building and look around and see what an athlete looks like, and they're all in there. Like where I am the most athletic is probably in my mind, and that's why kickers will always have a place in this game, is because no one can quite do it like the Adam Vinatieri's, the Morton Andersons. Yeah. They're built different, and I stand on that. Their minds are their greatest assets. It's their greatest weapon. Now Steve is also probably right. Like kickers aren't necessarily out there blocking and tackling and running and all that stuff, but we're still a big part of this game, and everybody wants to be us for the majority of the week, but the last minute of the game, down by 1, 2, or 3, nobody will even come and talk to me, like on my end of the bench. No one even wants to be around me, and like I kind of prefer it that way. I like to just stay in the calm zone, but yeah, I'll leave it there.
I was going to say,
but I didn't answer your question.
Yeah.
All right. So if I was going to play any other position, not that I could, but I would love to play, because I did in high school. I played free safety, and I told Ed Reed, and I think I might have told you this before, but I told Ed Reed when I first met him in the cafeteria, maybe first, second day of training camp, I walked right up to him, I introduced myself, and I told him, Ed, you were my favorite player growing up. Like, some of my favorite highlights are watching you take a pick to the house in the Ravens all-black uniforms with 0 ball security, and I modeled my game after you. And he's like, that's what's up, man. That's what's up. But like, you're the kicker, right? I'm like, yeah. But I still modeled my game after you. So, maybe in a way, like, I did model my game after Ed. Like, the athleticism was clearly not there, but up here, I think those things might be similar.
That's a football player. I was thinking slot receiver too, but that's for another day. I want to talk about another team. I want to talk about Team Tucker. You're a football player by trade. When you go home to Amanda in Easton, which is one of the things that has changed from when we first saw you 10 years ago as an undrafted rookie, what's that change been for your life?
It's been everything. Especially when we had Easton, instant game changer, puts everything into perspective just like that. And I think anybody who's a parent would say probably the exact same thing. You and I were talking before we started rolling, and we both got kiddos in first grade, and how amazing it is to follow their journey. Most of the time I'm not really, when I'm not in the moment actually kicking a ball for those 1.3 seconds, my mind is mostly occupied by, my family, by Amanda and Easton, and, doing everything that I can to, just be the best husband and be the best dad that I can be. So yeah, definitely a game changer.
What does Easton appreciate about Dad's job, because it is very public?
So as he's gotten a little older, he's starting to recognize, or he's starting to understand football better, for one, and he's starting to really get into the games too. So he gets a little emotional now when, and it could be like the middle of the first quarter, and he'll be watching a game, and he'll a play might not go our way, and he has a tough time with it. Which I kind of love that about him, that he is so into it that he
right.
Can be like a little emotional. He can be a little attached to it. But even myself, I'm playing in the game. Like, I'm obviously very attached to whether our team wins or loses. But I'll still have to come and console him after we lose a game. I'll be like, Easton, buddy, it's listen, we lost the game, but we're still going to go to Shake Shack tomorrow. We'll still get crinkle fries and double shack burgers. Everything's going to be all right. I promise. he'll calm down. But as he's gotten a little older, a little bigger, he's definitely starting to like pour himself into the game a little bit more. And he also is kind of starting to recognize that some of his buddies at school see like what's really cool about his class, for the last couple of years, like almost all the kids and all the parents, like they just see me as Easton's dad, which is exactly who I want to be.
Yeah.
At the same time, a lot of the kids get pretty fired up when I come to school for pickup, or it's usually the kids like not in his class, so they get pretty fired up when I come to pick them up on those afternoons when I'm able to.
Well, and we'll wrap up with this. There is an extended family in this regard. Like my son, who's Easton's age, is crazy about you. Like you're the guy. Like he loves Justin Tucker and Mark Andrews. There are a lot of Justin Tucker jerseys at his school, at a lot of schools, at the stadium. Not a lot of kickers get that kind of recognition, but in Baltimore, you've become something that this town owns and is proud of. That part about the experience for you.
To know that anybody would go out and buy my jersey or give my jersey as a gift or whatever it may be, that's something I don't take lightly. That's a huge honor, and it's a privilege to get to wear that jersey in the first place. But going back to what I said a little bit ago, the fact that I'm able to provide just a little bit of light to someone who may need it, or just put a smile on someone's face. The fact that someone will wear my jersey, it means the world to me. And the fact that I get to play here in Baltimore, in this town that I very quickly came to love and appreciate and call home. I'm a Maryland resident with the driver's license and everything, so the real ID, in case anybody's forgotten to sign up for that. But I love it out here. This is my home, and I'm honored and blessed that I get to share this experience of playing for this team, this organization, and living in this town with Amanda and Easton, and to just be just a little glimmer of light to whoever may need it in this town.